Hi, this is Roger from American Dad. You're listening to the Bob Culture Podcast with your host, Rob Crother. Oh, he's so delightful. Just gotta say, he's got kind of a big head, so I kind of get it with that, but it's all right. He's got the chin strap going, and with that jaw, he can pull it off no problem. Hope he doesn't get locked jaw, if you know what I'm saying.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bob Culture Podcast. Right now, you are listening to our very unique song, Weirder Stuff, of course, by my beautiful wife, Kate Ortiz, who is also on the panel today. Welcome, Kate. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
All right. Of course, we have hashtag wrestlers love Kriss Nunez, the man, the myth, the legend. They don't want none. Kriss Nunez, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, love the shirt. He's rocking the best Stranger Things shirt you'll ever see. And, of course, future first ballot Bob Culture Hall of Famer, one of the founders, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Tim Urig. What's up, man?
What's going on? Like a mind flayer looking for a new host, I am back.
Yes. Oh, man. I don't know what was better, that or us just singing the Never-Ending Story theme. That was good. Tim was ready to go in top form, man. Good to have you back, bro. All right, and of course, for the second time in a row, the Vac Attack is back, Jack. Back in action. Please welcome back to the show from thepopbreak.com, Mr. Michael Vacchiano. What's up, bro?
How you doing, man? Thank you for having me. Just trying to make up some lost time and just thrilled to be here.
Yeah, man. Good to have you. So, guys, thanks for coming over. Obviously, we're eating some Eggos like we did last time. I think last time we had a little bit of the Musketeers in the mix, so that was cool. Today I had to get some Purple Glaze, go see our good friends over there, so thank you to them for that. You guys enjoying those donuts so far?
Absolutely.
Shameless plug.
Fantastic. Delicious.
Oh, they're so good. So, Season 3, Stranger Things. Like I always say when we talk about Stranger Things, Season 1 was so fantastic. They came out with a Season 2. I was very, very nervous. And then Season 2, amazing, phenomenal. Same thing going into Season 3. I'm just like, they're going to keep it going. This is such a strong show. Like, it has to kind of go downhill, right? Just because it's been so good at some point. And Season 3 was really fantastic. What did you guys think of Season 3 overall? And how does it rank among the other seasons? We'll start with everyone's being a gentleman. Let's start with the lady here.
Hello. Thank you for calling me lady. First time ever. So, I really liked Season 3. The cool thing about this show is every time they introduce a new character, the character just fits in with everybody else very seamlessly, which I feel like in a lot of shows that doesn't happen. So I really loved all the new characters this season. And they do a really good job of keeping kind of like a very similar storyline interesting. They're always fighting these upside down creatures, but it doesn't get boring. They always kind of keep it fresh. And I think a cool thing that Netflix is doing is they're really doing shows as like almost a limited series. Like they know they're doing 4 seasons of this show, so there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Because you have these shows that go on for 1 billion seasons, and they start to suck because there's no end in sight, so they have to kind of just drag it out. And I think that's why they're able to like keep the show really good because they know how it ends already.
Really great points all around. That was fantastic. And good point on talking about how all the new characters, they're always good. It's not always like, I don't like this guy. You're instantly sucked in. You're instantly engaged. Nunez, what you think about this season?
My favorite part about this season is that if you guys are fans, as I am, and you've watched each season multiple times, is that you know the characters already, so they get right into it as soon as the first episode starts. Yeah. There's no introduction. There's even the new character Robin. There's really no introduction. Like Kate said, she kind of just fits right in. So they just get right into it, which is great.
All right, Mike, what do you got?
No, I totally get that, and yes, I love it. And also, like, you see the characters grow up a little bit. Yes, they're kids. The boys, their voices are getting deeper, everything like that. They're getting ready to grow up. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if the Duffer Brothers, the creators, have an end in sight, like Kate said, they know what they want to do. They have an end game, great. Let them go out on top. Like, yes, I'm wearing a Breaking Bad shirt because I'll worship that show till the day I die. Vince Gilligan had an ending with that show in sight, and he stuck to it. And the show went out on top, never got bad, no pun intended. Nice. And Stranger Things, so far, it's doing that. I mean, we've had another great season. We've had these characters, they've grown together and a little bit grown apart, a little differently, but and just like also the young cast, it's so hard to find a show where you have a young cast that it makes up the majority of it, that they're kids, and the friendship, you still believe it and everything like that. It's very natural. You don't always get that with a lot of kids on like major shows. So.
Yeah, the chemistry, again, really good stuff. And let's throw it back over to a fellow #champ missioner, Mr. Tim Urig.
So overall, I loved the new season. I thought it was well done. There was a couple little things, but I'm just being picky in what I observed overall. I wasn't really a fan of the fact that they really all didn't get together till the end. I understand it.
Yeah, it kept us waiting.
Yeah, they had their own individual stories that they could go back and forth to, and it all moved well. All the stories together, they were intense, they were heartfelt, all this. It was a real roller coaster. I just really didn't like that it took 7 episodes to get them all together at once. But I understand it.
Exactly.
They went right into the story, which I thought was fantastic. Like, we don't need too much of a backdrop. I thought the beginning, the first episode of this season was great because it really got you up to date in the first, 30 minutes. Like, you knew exactly what was going on. And then you knew, moving forward, here's really the plot of the new story. But overall, I thought it was a great season. I thought they did a fantastic job this time around. Like I said, if I'm nitpicking, I didn't like that it took forever for all of them to really get together. But I understand it, and the storylines, they all worked, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's a great point, but it also had us, like you said, you understand it, rooting the whole time. Like, can't wait for Dustin to get with the rest of the kids, so on and so forth.
He was a chunk this time. He was like the kid away from the rest of the Goonies, but then came back and helped save the day at the end and, got together.
And that's a great segue, actually, Mike. We're going to go a little out of order today.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's great, man. That's perfect, because I want to talk a little bit about these homages and Easter eggs and things of that nature. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. Real quick, before we talk about that, I want to talk about a phone number that we just called. I'm sure you guys read on the internet, where you can actually call Murray. This kind of ties into a little – by the way, spoiler alert, this kind of ties into what happened at the end of Stranger Things Season 3. There is essentially, I'll let you guys experience it for yourselves, but there's a message from Murray on his answering machine, kind of addressed to Joyce, a little bit of a teaser in that one. So you guys call the number. It's 618-625-8313, and we just had a lot of fun with that. So that's a cool little thing. Another great thing about this show, going the extra mile. We love it. But let's talk a little bit about some Easter eggs and little things like that. Obviously, the show has been known for its 80s homages and callbacks to things like E.T. We're looking at Nunez's shirt with the van flying over the kids on the bike. I mean, come on.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole show.
Exactly, man. So what were some Easter eggs or character similarities? Or
The Russian assassin dude.
Yep. Reminds you
Total
of
1984 Arnold Terminator. With
the haircut.
The haircut. You knew they were going with that. Didn't speak a lot. Had, the leather gloves and everything like that. Obviously stalking, almost very robotic. Pretty much beat Hopper in hand-to-hand combat every single time. But, yeah, I definitely see, references with that. So, but that's one thing that comes to mind.
What else you guys got?
Yeah, he definitely gave Arnold vibes with his little performance, almost talking with that accent as well, and that little haircut. And if you caught him at the right angle, you kind of thought it was. And I think the mayor said something about him being Arnold. I caught a little bit of Die Hard in the whole thing. There's a scene where Joyce and Hopper are down in the basement of that house, and Hopper comes back with a gun and he says, I'll shoot you right now. And the guy, the fake Arnold, says, no, you won't. Cops have rules. You won't do that. It's an exact line from Die Hard.
Okay, I'm with you.
Not to mention all the air duct scenes with Erica. I mean, it's right there.
I thought,
Get to the party, have
great
a few
job,
laughs.
Tim.
Yeah. Get to the coast, we'll have a few laughs. That didn't happen in it, but it's okay. What do you got, Nunez?
We were talking about it before, but Hopper's shirt, it's pretty much a reference to Magnum P.I.
Yeah.
He even, he has a goatee, but he even has a mustache going. So
Nice, yeah, good call on that one. Obviously, the T-shirt Dustin was wearing. Camp Nowhere?
that was the hat.
Oh, it was the hat.
He was wearing a Weird Al shirt at one point.
It was a Weird Al
Well, I
shirt.
think
okay.
when
Yeah.
he first came back from camp, he was wearing a camp.
He did
Nowhere
have
Yeah,
a
that
T-shirt.
okay. That's
Yeah,
what.
Oh, yeah,
I was
he was,
thinking
yeah.
he had a T-shirt,
But he did change.
I did a double take on that one. Do you guys?
Are we saying that it's just a play on words, or do we think it's an actual reference to that 1990s Camp Nowhere?
It's at least a nod. I know it's an 80s based show, but who knows? Maybe the directors are just a big fan and they just they thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
I think so.
And another thing, and if you guys got any more Easter eggs or anything like that, let me know. Nothing's going to beat that phone number, though. That was pretty rad. But just seeing all the things in the Starcourt Mall, we were talking about the old Taco Bell logo.
That was a character in itself, that mall. That mall was such
Sam
an awesome
Goody.
setting.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Orange Julius.
All that stuff.
That was...
What else? The Gap.
Yeah, the Gap.
What was the bookstore? Oh,
I can't remember.
Walden's?
Walden's.
maybe
Yeah,
I think it was Walden's.
Walden Books, I
Yeah.
think.
Love the throwbacks. Now, do you guys think there was anything, a great, obviously another phenomenal performance by Billy, the actor's name?
Dacker? I think?
Dacker Montgomery.
Good job, guys. Wow, fantastic.
Red Ranger.
Yeah, I always think that, too. He was really, really, really good. Was his performance like kind of a callback to somebody else or some other movie or something? I couldn't get there, but, I mean, it was really, really good. But was it from something or no?
I don't think anything specifically. It seems like it's a combination of things because he was kind of like the median, like he got possessed and like was kind of summoning everybody to the mind flare, almost like the original It.
Yeah.
How he used somebody else to lure everybody to him. So
Right, there were little things like that for sure.
Speaking of it, when Alexei goes and pops the balloon, it's distinctly the red balloon. So
I didn't catch
I'm
that.
thinking
I didn't catch that.
maybe that's a little nod to it.
Nice.
I don't know.
Good call. Let's talk about those two before we get into some of the main characters. What did you guys think about Billy's performance, and also want to talk about Alexei a little bit? Bae, what did you think of Billy in this one?
Oh, he's awesome. Well, I watched an interview or two with that actor afterward, mostly because he's Australian and no one to hear his accent. But he really he's like one of those actors you could tell is probably like really method and like dives very deep into their characters.
He was good.
You believe like every second of it, and he goes from like this raging psycho, from this cool guy to this raging psycho, and then like he has these like really weak emotional moments here and there too, where you kind of tell that he knows what's going on, but he can't stop what's happening, and it's really interesting and intense. Yeah, he's got like a body snatcher thing going on. Like he's still in there, he just can't really stop what's happening with the mind flayer.
And that's all really good points. Also, when you and I were watching, especially that scene when he was in the room where they were turning up the temperature,
Yeah, the sauna.
the sauna, and we're thinking, is Max gonna kind of break? Is Max gonna
really
become
thought,
weak?
yeah.
And she did it, and that was very interesting to me. Her dynamic with him throughout. And she kind of restrained herself. They weren't blood, but, it was her brother.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool scene. And I remember you and I looking at each other, and I think we were, like, not taking bets. But we're like, I think she's going to help him, and she didn't. So that was really interesting. So I like their dynamic, too. Obviously, that plays out in the end a little bit more. Mike, what you think about Billy in this one?
Well, you said with Max, like in like the final battle, not to jump ahead of the end, but of course she was like, "Oh, I hope we don't." He's like, "Can we do this without having to kill him? I don't want to actually have to kill my brother. Can we just get the mind flayer out?" But like we talked about all season 2, he was such like a douchebag in season 2, like the real like jerk, and he was trying to keep Max away from Lucas. We all thought it was some sort of like but really he was a product of his abusive father, which we got more into, especially this season because now 11 got to go into his head and doing
That was interesting.
and it was
too.
just he made him more sympathetic. Like obviously he's not acting on his own accord. He's possessed by the mind flayer the whole time, And that scene, when they invade the Heather's parents' house with
Yes.
American Pie in the background. I love when they get a scary moment and have a cheery song in the background. Kind of like if in Us, they did that with Beach Boys this year. If you saw,
Or Clockwork Orange, Singing in the Rain.
Exactly.
Not to
They
get
have
too
a nice,
dark,
cheery,
but-
happy song. They have something really horrible and scary happening.
Soundtrack's always on point on this show.
They always get a. In fact, I loved the reverse gender Fast Times thing when he comes out ready to like take the lifeguard stand. And they play,
And all the moms are.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
is
all
that
the-
weird? I didn't
and all
catch
the,
that.
all the housewife moms are like, "Oh my God, here he comes!" And you hear it, dun, 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 and instead
So
of Phoebe
good.
Cates coming out of the pool, which they've referenced a lot in this season,
As they should.
it was Billy coming out there, mullet glistening in the sun, ready
that
to go.
little mustache.
The mustache,
Gross.
tattoo. But yeah, I mean, I did think it was kind of cool they put like a gender spin on it. Now it's a bunch of girls ogling the guy.
Get a little bit
To
more
that
from
song.
Mike's.
Everybody recognizes that song by the Cars, knows as from that scene, that fantasy scene from Fast Times. But
That went over my head.
That made me
Yeah.
laugh right away from the first episode. But as far as was in Dacker Montgomery, did a great job because he never wanted to do 100% what he was doing, trying to control his rage, and even just as just as Billy non-possessed, he's a victim of his father. His father was. I hope
We learned a little bit more about that.
Yeah, you get more about that, and 11 obviously knew more about that, and yeah. So I mean, it's
Talking about the lifeguard stuff real quick.
Okay.
We got a little bit more out of Mike's mom. We always kind of joke about Mike's
worst
parents.
mom ever. Like, where
well,
the kids?
she
I don't know. They're probably around here somewhere.
Well, that's fair, but
Yeah, they're
she did
terrible
have a-
parents, by the way.
She did have a
They
standout.
never know where their kids are. They're always. I think there's one point where they all ask each other, "Where are our kids?" and nobody knows where they are.
Yeah, kind of.
That's one of my favorite things, though, because that's
It's
such a
summer.
horror.
So good.
That's such a horror movie trope. Is like the clueless parents who have no idea what's going on at any point.
And Joyce was, paranoid and doing everything she could to get Will out of the Upside Down. She could have been Mom of the Year, even though she was a little more panicked. But these people are like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm just gonna go on the rides. Isn't this fun? I don't know where they are. They're probably out in summertime someplace."
But from what I hear, that's what it was like.
That's
Like,
exactly what it was
before
like.
It's
Before
like,
cell phones,
just be home
Yeah.
before it's dark
It was
out.
a different time. We had
which
to,
is-
we had to come in when the
which is
street
bananas.
lights came on. That was pretty much it.
That was
and that was
exactly
the
what it
'90s, right?
Summer nights playing Manhunt. I remember on Jeffrey Ave, Rob. I don't know if you
See,
remember this.
I was never
right.
allowed to do stuff like that. Like, I'm a few years younger than you guys, but like, if I was like, "Oh, Mom," when I was like 8 years old, if I was like, "Oh, I'll be back when it's dark," my mom would be like, "The hell you will be. Where are we going?" I wasn't allowed to go out by myself.
Yeah,
ever.
we were more like
We had a big
on our bikes. We want to go somewhere on the bikes. You guys,
You guys lived in a residential area where like you really couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's
You
fair.
were-
Yeah.
Like you probably
we
had
go
like,
to the schoolyard and ride our bikes on the
Logan Road,
blacktop.
Ocean Township. If anybody out there local knows Ocean Township, yes, that was the place where my parents were like, "Just be careful, a lot of traffic." But me and Rob would ride our bikes to 7-Eleven. That's one of the things I love about this show is it takes you back to your time when you don't have a car. And it's like, "Oh, hey, you want to go to 7-Eleven and get some peanut butter cups and Slurpees? And we'll do that, and we'll ride our bikes and we'll go." And that's like the cool thing to do after school.
It's
You know,
nice. It's calling your friend, walking outside and screaming your friend's name out the door. It's your parents whistling for you to come home.
It just reminds you of simpler times.
Landlines,
was.
no cell phones. You ride over, you knock on the door, and you get your crew together.
Oh, and speaking of phones, I loved Mayor Klein's giant cell phone, car phone thing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Real quick, I know we're jumping all over the place, which is great. You guys remember my theory through every single season? I mentioned it on the last podcast. Essentially, Mike's dad, I think he's in on it. I've been saying this the whole time. He's such a minor character.
Ooh,
I'm being kind of silly about this, but I always say
There
I think
wasn't enough Mike's dad in the season, by the way.
Right. He's just so ridiculous. What was he? He like fell asleep.
He's
the
either
whole time.
sleeping
He
or.
just passed out somewhere with his mouth hanging open.
And when he's like talking to the feds or whatever, when he's getting interviewed in the last season,
Yeah.
he's just like
He has a zero.
he's so in the
personality.
background, and
Yeah.
he's so zero personality.
Definitely not
I'm like,
taking
there's
care of-
more to him. I said it since the first season. I'm like, watch this guy. You just watch. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, he
Definitely
looks
not taking
shady.
care of Mike's mom, though, if you know what I'm saying.
She had a good scene with Nancy. I couldn't get there. She had a really good scene with Nancy, kind of talking
they gave
about.
her more
Go
depth.
ahead. Yeah, I know you want to touch on that. The
No, go ahead.
but real quick before we bounce all over the place, Nunez, what you think about Billy, Tim as well?
So, first of all, Billy's mullet and mustache are a thing of beauty. They
They
are
are disgusting.
they are what did you say it was? Australian?
Yeah.
It's an American treasure. Those things. All right, so
my
listen.
God.
The actor did a fantastic job. I had a little bit of a difficult time early in the season because overall my hatred for Billy's character in season 2 was huge, and
He's doing a
you
good
know,
job.
The second that they had him become like the main focal point and the main villain, I was originally all in on the idea of that. I was like, all right, he's gonna get what's coming to him. This is what we want. But knowing how movies and television works, I knew there was gonna be some sort of like roller coaster of like a journey that he has to go on. So the second that he went into the sauna in the sauna test episode, and like he's doing his little scene and he's kind of like in he's hunched down and he's talking to Max and he's saying, help me, and he's almost crying. It really
scene.
humanized his character, and I hated it. I hated that I felt something
Right.
positive, and I was like, I want this guy to get some help. So, when we talk about these things, a lot of time we talk about character development, and we didn't know anything about Billy other than his dad was a jerk, based on season 2. So learning
True.
all the stuff that we learned through Elle's vision and, getting into his mind and his memories, you see where it all comes from. And I really struggled with sympathizing and empathizing for his character based on that because I hated him in season 2. But ultimately, I got to the point where, and it did happen the second that he saved Elle at the end. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So I mean, his character in general, I really struggled with the idea of liking him until the end, which I guess was the whole point of the character. But I hated him in season 2, as most people did.
Yeah, true, and that means he's doing his job.
Exactly.
Obviously, we see his demise at the end. Go ahead, Nunez.
Yeah, same exact thoughts. He was such a big asshole in the second season. I mean, the way he was with Max, and then you come to find out, the way his dad was with him. So victim of circumstance.
True.
But yeah, I was like, they're gonna make me like him by the end, and I really don't want to like him. And then when he ends up sacrificing himself for 11. It's like, damn it, man. I want to know what happened. Like, if he were to live, I want to know where it goes from there. Like, how he is with Max, how he is with the rest of his family. But it's like, now you won't be able to find that out. But it's like, man, I really hated that character. He did his, like you said, he did his job well. But now it's like, he sacrificed himself.
Well, Max was hoping to get her brother back, and hopefully, a nicer version of her brother.
Exactly.
And
now I want to know what that would be like.
Billy, I'm proud of you. You did the right thing. You fought off the mind flayer, and you saved Elle. But now I don't have you now, so now you're gone. So,
oh God, I hope Max doesn't have to live with her stepdad.
Oh, I wanted Max to go over and kick her stepdad and punch him in the dick.
Yeah, punch him.
Quote,
that should be the first episode.
Punch him in the dick, because now I hate Billy's dad even more, especially with all the flashbacks, him hitting his mother, and probably, I'm assuming, cheating on him with maybe Max's mom, and that's how they had the broken family.
That should be the first scene in season 4, is her kicking him in the dick.
Calling him a pussy during playing baseball, that's just not right.
Yeah. No, he's a garbage person, and maybe he'll just drink himself to death or something. That'd be great.
I think I'd rather have Mike's dad then. Yeah.
And I forget. Does Max's mom is she still with Billy's dad? I don't remember seeing her.
I think when they showed her in season 2, she's basically there out of fear. Like she's basically there not, she's head down, mouth shut. You can tell she's being verbally and possibly physically abused, but too scared to run away.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They don't show their parents in real time. They only show them in flashbacks, correct?
In this season, season 2, they showed them a little bit.
Yeah. But in this season, they only show them in flashbacks, I believe.
Maybe we get a little bit more in season 4.
Yeah, it'd be really satisfying to watch Billy's dad die.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
And I hate to say it.
I'm not probably proponent of violence as you are, Kate, but I'm with
he deserves it.
I want him to be murdered.
We'll see what happens in season 4. I hate to say it, but Billy, this doesn't sound right, was somewhat expendable to the point where
that's what I was thinking too.
That went out in that self-sacrificing fashion. And you're like, okay, he's done. There's no theories.
If anybody was going to do it, it was going to be him.
Yeah, right. Exactly. As there may be with some other characters that we may or may not think are coming back, he was one that you're just like, all right, he had his big ending. And like what Nunez was saying, he was never my favorite character. Didn't want to like him like Tim and Nunez were saying.
But you love to hate him, though.
Yeah.
He was so good at it.
Love to hate him and just so intrigued by him. Some of these character arcs, like Theon on Games of Thrones, where you like him, you hate him, stuff like that. It's so intriguing to me, and they're not my favorites, but they're like my favorite to like go on the journey with, if that makes sense. All the ups and downs, and so he's a great actor, phenomenal performance by him. Rumors going around he may be the next Wolverine. Again, all rumors at this point, but you never know.
Well, we can rock great hair, as we said that.
So we were talking about Max a little bit, and I know Kate's favorite part of this season was Max and 11 kind of having their girl time and kind of getting away from the boys, hating on boys. Go ahead, take it away. What do you think about all this?
Max actually might be my favorite character.
Shocking.
I can't blame you.
She's awesome. Mad Max is the shit. No, but just because last season it was like this new character, and 11 was like jealous, and I was like, all right, this is stupid. This is like fake girl nonsense that they put on TV and stuff like that. So it was way better to see like them interact and like just be friends and just no drama, and they just hate on the boys, and it's hilarious. And when when Elle goes to Mike and goes, "I dump your ass," it was the best moment in the entire
Not quite
show.
fully
And then they start playing "Cold as Ice" by
she's like,
Foreigner.
Yes,
Hilarious. That piano starts playing. I was like, yes, this is so good.
And I love you know what? Elle needs a friend too. You know, like she needs to hang out with another girl. She doesn't know anything. Like 11 can crush someone with her brain, but she doesn't know anything. You know, and you know, even her language. Like every season, she understands how to speak. You know, better and better. But it's really nice to just see her like have fun with someone and not being chased by the government and just them going shopping.
She need to be a kid. She need to be a girl.
Yeah, just be a kid. And when Max is like, "Oh, what's your style?" and she's like, "Mine." Like, what do you mean? Like she like discovers who she could be, you know, by her choice, not by, you know, the experiments or Hopper putting her in old flannel. You know, she got a chance to be herself. And I just the whole thing, it was really, really great, and I love their new friendship.
Yeah, it was awesome, and really great point. Last season, Max was the new character, like we talked about earlier. Sometimes these new characters, they're hard to get in there. So she obviously stood out from the bunch. It was a little tricky at first, but this season, they made her fit in so I mean, she was just part of the group. There was no question about it. It wasn't like that new character they put in your show, and you're just like, well, you're not part of the original. She was just in and part of the group. Great character development along with 11. Really good stuff. What did you guys think about the ladies in this one?
It's not an 80s themed show if you don't have a makeover montage. So I love the fact that they had the bright. They went to, what was it? They went to the Gap, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they went to the Gap, and like 11's trying on heels, and I'm pretty sure that's the first time she's ever tried on heels, and they're falling down laughing, and their friendship was very refreshing.
I feel like Madonna was
Madonna.
Yeah, Material
Madonna.
Girl was definitely
Of
on.
course.
Of
course.
By the way, Easter egg I didn't even notice when 11 falls on the heels, and the one girl that was in the group that laughed at her, that was the girl that rejected Dustin at the snowball.
Was it really?
Yes.
Nunez.
So later on in the mall, when 11 uses her powers and makes the soda explode on the girl, that's I think her name is Stacy, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like,
girl name, right? It's
got
like
her.
the perfect
Yeah,
one.
Stacey.
Never turn down Dustin.
That's awesome. No, I didn't realize that.
Mike, what you think about
Well, I think-
11 and Max?
Look, it's as I talked to Kate. Yeah, 11. She's not only she's a girl, she's still understanding like her as a place in the world as being a kid, but also, yeah, it's you need to have a girl time. She found Max. Max was open to her, so let's take you shopping. You don't need boys to have fun. You don't need to stay in Hopper's little shack for the rest of your life. Let's just go do something fun. Try on some clothes, see what you like best, and it was good to have that about her. Like, yeah, and I think it's also like the whole thing with the kids now. It's like, oh, Mike has a girlfriend, Lucas has a girlfriend, Dustin has a girlfriend, Susie Q or whatever, And that's the one thing I felt bad about with Will, because Will's like, look, I've been trapped in some other dimension for a little while. Can I just hang out with you guys for a little bit?
Yeah, I just want to play.
I want to play some Dungeons and Dragons just for like an hour or so. I got a great quest. I'm dressing up like a wizard, but they're all worried about their girl problems. And I think it's just one thing when you get to that age when you're in a group of friends, someone's got a girlfriend, they kind of spend less time. And, you get older, we got to be trying to balance it out. So I think it's good that also. And I think Mike realized that maybe he was dominating 11's time too much. So
really great points, Mike. Real quick, I love what you said about that. Because we knew the kids were going to be growing up. You knew things were going to be different. You knew there were going to be girlfriends and stuff. And I think that scene, especially with Will, where he's wearing like the Will the Wizard outfit, he wants to play with his friends. And I thought that was such like a critical scene. It's interesting. You grow up and you have all these things that you like to do with your friends. I mean, you look around our apartment. We probably going to be playing video games later, knowing us, but. Things change, and they did a good job of that. You didn't lose interest in these characters or anything like that. Real quick, did you guys all think that Susie was real? Yes. No, maybe so?
No. I was back and forth
I
on
thought
it.
Susie
I
was
was the
real.
same way. I thought she was fake.
I thought
I
Susie was
know.
real because he was in that first or second episode. He was talking to her when no one was like when they all left like the little satellite or the little tower they had set up. He was still trying to reach her, so he wasn't like trying to prove anything. But my theory was that she was a robot that he built.
I didn't
Nice.
think
Nice. Good
I
job.
wasn't going to think it was for a robot. I think she was real. I mean, when he kept saying,
Well,
oh
she
my,
was, yes.
When he kept saying, "Oh my God, she's brilliant. She looks like Phoebe Cates." It was like the pinup girl all the time. Yeah, I was like, all right, maybe he's exaggerating, but you know what? It's just like when he finally showed Susie in episode 8, she got the braids and the glasses, and she's wearing like the nightgown, everything like that. I'm like, yeah, she reminded me of Paul's little sister from Wonder Years. In
Nice.
A way.
Oh,
Good reference.
wow.
And yeah, they do
Yeah.
the great little, cute little never-ending
Great
stories. But you know
reference.
what? Dustin's not gonna have some like smoking girl. He's have some cute little girl like him, and that's great. Because then there's a great scene where he talks to Steve, And he says, Steve, hey, do you like Robin? He's like, oh, no, Robin's not my type. He's like, why? But he's like, you have fun with her. She's cool. She's funny. Why don't you stop worrying about somebody who's popular and worry about somebody that you like being with?
There's a thing.
There's Dustin teaching Steve something.
There's a thing on the internet calling it Dustin's dad moments when he gives like words of advice, and that speech is like his dad moment where and he talks about like social constructs in high school
They're
and out of high
so
school.
And then he's
It's
also
amazing.
babysitting them the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that was great. Sit here, watch the movie, and shut up. And it's like, but I wanted to see the movie from the beginning. Shut up and watch the movie. And they're like watching the chorus. What are they watching, Nunez?
Back to the Future.
Back to the
Thank you.
Future.
Yes.
Oh, which we love. Real quick, what do you guys think about Max and 11? Then we're going to move on.
As far as Max and 11, I thought that you needed to have scenes with them because they had 0 scenes together in season
worked.
2. So like you knew it was coming. And I thought the way that they did it was fantastic because, 11 came to Max with a problem. And it's something that she didn't know, and she knew she couldn't talk to anybody. She couldn't talk to Hopper. She knew she needed to talk to a girl. So it was the perfect segue to starting a friendship with her. I thought the scenes where they're complaining about each other as far as, like, boyfriend, girlfriend, and that kind of thing, I thought that it was perfect because that's what kids do. Like, they don't have the life experience and going through relationships and stuff. So you talk to your friends about it. And I just thought Max overall towards 11 was amazing. Like, just her character was great, and you said it before, like, she fit in seamlessly, and it just seemed like she belonged the whole time when we know that wasn't the case. She wasn't in season 1. So I thought they just did a great job. So I would say that their friendship, it's very close to the bromance of Steve and Dustin. Not quite there, but it's very close.
And it will probably evolve.
Really
well said.
There's this theory I saw online where Max has this green scrunchie, but later on in the season, 11's wearing the green scrunchie. That she gave her scrunchie, and it's super cute.
500 Days of Nunez. What do you got?
Also, one of my favorite scenes between them is when 11 spies on the boys. When she puts on the blindfold and she spies on the boys. I think at one point, like, Lucas lets out, like, this big fart. Is it Lucas or is it Mike? Or they're just being guys. And she's like, oh, my God. And Max is like, what did you see? She's like, oh, God, he just let out a big fart. Like, it was just really funny. Like Tim was saying. It's just what Tim was saying, like, how, like, they're pretty much venting to each other. And 11 needed that female perspective, that female outlet. It was just cool to see.
And one more thing that I really liked is when they were talking about it and how Max was like, Mike's a liar. And then 11's like, friends don't lie. And Max goes, boyfriends lie.
She ain't wrong.
Oh, you caught that, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, real quick, one-word answer. Favorite character? Bay.
I think Max.
Yeah,
right
I'm not
now.
surprised. And that they did a good job doing that because it probably wasn't Max last season.
It wasn't. She was only in it a little bit last season, and she was cool and stuff like that. But this season, like, they really blew up her personality, and you got to know her.
Nunez is putting some thought into it. I could see. You want me to skip you?
I have to say 11.
That's good.
Because at the end of the day, like, she's the one that everybody leans on. They kind of point to that later on. It's like we all, like, Mike stands up for her. Is like, look, she can't have the weight on her shoulders all the time. Like, the weight of the world on her shoulders. Like, we can't depend on her all the time. Like, if 11 wasn't around, then what would we do?
Good call. She's powerless now, correct?
I don't know about powerless, but she's
Regenerating.
definitely weaker.
Yeah.
Well, she said something to Hopper about, like, how her batteries are drained.
Right. Remember at the end she was trying to reach the teddy bear, and then Mike comes and gets it to her. That was cute.
The thing inside of her that they took out was like some kind of leech or just drained her or something after she got bit by the mind flare.
Maybe.
Fascinating. Mike, favorite character?
Oh, God. Can I pass?
Tim?
Favorite character, digging deep, Hopper.
Nice.
I just love Hopper's development overall because season 1, he's this cop who doesn't care about anybody, is boozing and pill popping, and the second that he gets a second chance to have a family, he goes into full dad mode. So I just liked his character development overall, and you saw that he put on a little weight because he comes home from work and he sits on the couch and he watches his cop shows, and he's got the 3-inch rule, which is total dad. And overall, I'm telling you right now, total feels when Eleven's reading the letter at the end. So I think that's exactly where like the favorite character, and then obviously what happened to him at the end.
Yeah.
So
Teaser.
yeah,
It's
so
like you've
I
done
would
this
say
before.
just overall probably Hopper. I just think he's a funny dude.
I mean,
That's a good answer.
they're all so good.
Yeah, it's hard to
It is
pick.
hard to pick just one.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up before that. You think about all these ensemble kid movies like Stand by Me, or one of my favorites, The Sandlot, or the original It, or the It that just came out that has Finn Wolfhard in it. There are no weak points in the show. Like there's certain characters like The Sandlot maybe, or Stand by Me, where like one or two characters like. Not do without them, but they're kind of meh. And this one, if you got rid of any of those kid actors or any of those characters, there would be a glaring hole. Like you would notice it.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's one of the few shows with a kid ensemble I could think of where every character is strong.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
that's why it's hard to pick, and also why I said Billy was kind of the expendable one.
Yeah, exactly.
Even
At
when we
all of
talk
them, but
about
even still, at
Hopper,
the end, you wanted him to live. You're like, oh man.
with that redeeming quality.
So, what's your favorite character?
I think you
Ooh.
know. So do you? I think you know. So I was going to have them guess.
All right,
do you know who it is?
I'll
Beg?
go.
Oh, you can guess.
Do I
then.
guess or do I?
Yeah, guess. Who's my favorite? Take
Oh,
a
you
guess.
get-
Take a guess.
Oh, all right.
2 hours.
Yeah, pretty much 2 hours later.
Who's my favorite character?
I'm
know
gonna take
who
a
it is.
guess, and I'm going to say it's Dustin.
Solid guess. No, one of my favorites. Obviously, they're all good. No, anyone? You want to just say-
Erica?
No, but slowly becoming a
definitely
favorite.
breakout this year.
Absolutely.
Can't spell America without Erica.
All right. Yeah.
I was
Nunez. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say Dustin, so I don't know who your favorite character is.
Lucas.
Lucas.
I
Oh.
love Lucas. He's the best.
Rob, are you a New Coke fan or what?
I'm a Lucas fan. But
Okay.
I've never had New Coke. I don't
He's
think.
always
so.
he's always ready to go to battle. Doesn't
He is
matter.
the slingshot.
He's just
The
like,
slingshot.
Again, with coming
ready to
back
go
to
battle.
Billy, he hit that one hit on Billy tonight.
Wearing the
I think it
camo
was Billy.
headband last. And everything
Oh, I
like that.
love
And he came up with the fireworks idea.
Yeah.
Max was dogging on him on it, and look what happened at the end. It worked.
You know what's great about this show is
Oh,
like
it's-
as much horror and suspense as there is. Most of the stuff we're talking about is like the heart and the kids and this cast.
That's the best part.
Performances. But just that mix of horror and sci-fi and storyline, it's just so perfect. Like we
And,
said
and
from
he's the
very
new
first
Coke
season.
spokesman.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's got the he's got the bratty little sister, and his sister's like, my stupid brother was involved in all that.
He's
And
a
they get
nerd.
the stories of
How
these-
good was she?
He a
they were
nerd.
Great. And then at the end, like they're seeing each other again. They're like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Yeah, what are you
know?
doing here?
Yeah.
the whole
You know,
the whole scene with the My Little Pony where Dustin's like,
Oh.
yeah, you're a nerd.
You're a nerd.
Dragons?
You mean that was
castles?"
before? Was Dustin the original Brony? I don't know.
Maybe.
He might be.
He knew
But-
a lot about My
You mean the
Little
one where
Pony.
Applejack went to
Look.
the new Princess Castle?
Well,
and-
it's like with Lucas. Like I loved how he was trying to give Mike advice. Like, oh, just go to the mall and buy her a present. I broke it up with Max like 5 times. We got back together.
Yeah.
Redeem yourself.
She
Yeah,
dumps
give her
him
some
all
cheesy
the
little
time.
trinket and you're fine. But as far as like best relationship, I'd have to say 11 and Hopper between the two of them. Like I love the
Fave.
daughter.
it's so
Fave.
good.
As we said with Hopper, like yes, lost his daughter. She, I'm assuming cancer in season 1. We found out. Obviously lost his wife because he was drinking and wasting his life away, depressed. So he had a second chance. I mean, his daughter did not live to get to adolescence. So now when Elle is like making out with Mike in her room, he's like, "You keep that door open. I don't want you making
3 inches.
And then, of course, him in the scene with the car with Mike, laying
Which
down
is
the
fantastic, by the
law,
way.
Which is hilarious because, of course, Mike is like shitting his pants, like everything.
And Mike was such a little punk to him.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I'm so
Mike-
glad he wasn't nice to him.
Yeah,
So
he's just
glad
like-
he just scared the
he's just
shit
like,
out of him.
He's like, Mike, I want to talk to you. Just like, can we talk? Like honestly, he's like, I think you're spending maybe a little too much time with Elle. And he's like, I don't understand. It's not that big of a deal. And he's like, all right, listen now.
And he locks the door.
Locks
I have to
the
say,
door.
Mike was such
He's
a
like, if
dick
you want
this
to,
season.
Yeah, he was such a little
My
jerk.
daughter, you will follow my rules.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive,
Mike-
and you're going to listen.
And then all these cheesy 80s music. What does he listen to? Jim Croce on the way to work.
As he
You don't
should.
mess around with Jim, which is perfect.
As he
He's
should.
Like,
Hey, Mike, that might be something you may be experiencing firsthand now as a dad, man.
Hey,
You might
I
be
got a
hopper.
long way to go.
Hashtag
for that.
dad
I know,
goals.
Just saying, dad.
I
Yeah,
gotta-
there it is. Hashtag dad
No,
goals.
my goal
There it
is,
is.
I'm going to teach her to take care of herself, but also to look out for the decent guys, to point them out. But I got a long way to go for that. Can I get out of diapers first, man? I'm
Yeah,
still got my hands full with that.
Hey,
There
14
you go.
years is going to go pretty quick.
14 years. Yes, it will go fast. Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Anyway, and Kate can help you. You got to teach her the dick punch.
I will. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Nice.
But as far as my personal character favorite, I mean, that's 11 and Hopper, the father-daughter, beautiful, best relationship. Maybe one of the best relationships on TV right now. But for our character, I got to go Dustin, because Dustin just makes no apologies for who he is. He's a dork. I mean, he helps himself a little bit. Like Steve's like, look, don't change who you are, but let's put you some Farrah Fawcett hairspray. Change your hair a little bit. You know? And he admits, like, oh, yeah, I went to science camp, and I like radios, and
He owns it.
Yeah, he owns it. And he's like, this is who I am. And he actually admitted, and he's teaching Steve, find a girl who you like spending time with. Who cares what other people think? You know, and I'm sure.
Tell him how you really feel, Dustin.
Exactly. And I hope we get to see Susie visit Hawkins next year. I like to see that.
Ooh, okay.
You know, and and I'd like to see the fact that, like, hey, and he'd like to go her off and be like, show her off. He's like, oh, this is the most beautiful girl in the world. She's my girlfriend, Susie. And he's just so cute. You know,
Dustin is very sweet.
This is a sweet guy, and he just makes no apologies. Like. Yeah, I guess I would go.
He might be the most genuine character.
Exactly.
That's a great point. And, we were talking about this earlier, how we were going to approach this podcast. We were kind of talking about, like, the three main groups. I forget the code names, but let's get into it right now.
If you need 'em.
Do you know the code
Scoops
names?
Troop.
Like Scoops Troop,
Scoop
Baldy.
Troop,
Yeah, what was
Griswolds.
Griswolds were
It was like
Joyce and
no, that was Nancy.
Everyone in the station wagon. Hence, that's why
okay.
the Griswold.
Oh,
Yeah, everyone in the station. And then we had
Family trucks.
Lovebirds, which was Joyce and Hopper, and then Bald Eagle.
nice, good job, babe. That's awesome. Let's start with Scoops Ahoy, or what was it?
Scoop Troop.
Scoops Troop. Yeah, let's start with them. We talked about it a little bit. Erica, phenomenal performance. What did you guys think about the relationship? Obviously, we talked about Steve and Dustin already, but Steve's come a long way since season 1. Kind of the misdirect with him and Robin. What did you guys think?
It's not a Stranger Things season without Steve Harrington getting beat up.
Yeah.
Every season, he always gets, whether it's intentional or just gets into a big fight. It's not a season without him getting beat up.
They make a joke about it, but he's never won a fight.
Yes.
He finally does, though.
He did. I loved the whole relationship with Steve and Robin. Like I said, she's a character that just immediately fit in, and she just made fun of him, and really it was really humbling, I think, for Steve, because he went from coolest guy in school to he's kind of like the peaked in high school guy, and he doesn't know what he's doing with his life, but he's become such a better person that you really root for him, because I hated Steve in season 1, and
come
when
a long
Nancy
way.
was with him at the end of season 1, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I
This
thought.
guy
Yeah, I was like,
when
come
you left
on.
Nancy
Yeah.
and Jonathan in the house in season 1, I'm like, oh, it's a whole horror movie. Douchebaggy jock guy's gonna run to his car. He's gonna get killed by the monster. But no, he came back and helped him, and I'm like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
I was
so,
like-
I was like, wow, okay.
He's kind of like the Theon of this show. He sucks and then he gets it together and really,
You guys want a hot take real quick?
Yeah.
Well,
I think Jonathan's another kind of expendable character.
He did very little.
I don't
this
wanna be
season.
that
Yeah,
guy.
he did. Yeah, no. I can't blame
I
you.
literally couldn't think of his name when we were talking about.
I couldn't either, yeah.
Griswolds. But back to Steve and Robin. Loved that whole thing, and loved when they were high. It was the funniest thing.
Oh, when they're on
Dustin
the
trying to
drug,
wrangle them,
yeah.
and they're just tripping balls, and they don't know what's going on. And it was really cool that they had that genuine moment where Robin was
on the dirty bathroom floor.
Yeah, on the dirty bathroom floor, where Robin was,
The Wonder
That's
Bread-
one of the best
Wonder
scenes
Bread
in the whole
tile scheme.
season.
Did everybody notice that? The Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but Robin, took the opportunity, and she was able to come out to Steve, which in the '80s, that's a really,
That was-
really, really big deal. It's a big deal now, but
Even
what,
bigger
30
deal back
years
then.
ago?
Yeah.
I
That's
gotta.
huge.
May I weigh in on that?
Yeah,
If I
and
may?
Steve was awesome about it. He was just a good friend about it, even though he liked her and got his
Yeah.
heart broken.
It was a little. No, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love the misdirect in that, because you obviously see, all right,
That's
this is
such
gonna
a
be
good
the new love
swerve.
interest in a show full of cliches and nostalgia. And
That's
all that
one I
kind
didn't
of
see
stuff.
coming at all.
They swerved you on that, and I think everyone in the world was like, cool, yeah, they could be awesome friends. I get that.
Yeah,
We've all
because
had friendships like
the
that. I
trope would
think.
be, oh, I was a loser in high school. The cool guy likes me. I get the cool guy. But she was like, actually, about that.
Yeah, and their relationship still so genuine,
Oh, yeah,
and
best
and
friends.
one of our favorite. Another good one that'll probably evolve. However it evolves in season 4. Really exciting. Go ahead, Mike.
I might be alone in this. No, I mean, don't be wrong. Robin was a great character. Obviously, we talked about the Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman. It's their daughter. She's totally instance with that. And her coming out to Steve, and Steve was just like, "Oh yeah, this is cool." And they start. What do they do? They start going on and ripping on each other and having a conversation, everything like that. It's just we're just friends rapping again, nothing like that. Part of me kind of hopes they still get together, and I don't know if it can happen.
It doesn't work that way, Mike.
I know.
Like,
I'm
what do you
thinking-
mean for Steve's sake?
I got chasing Amy on the brain, in the sense that maybe you fall in love with the person, and maybe the fact that maybe she meets her own jerky Stacy girl, and gets her heart broken.
But honestly, what would be the benefit of that?
I don't have a benefit. I guess after seeing the whole season, I kind of want to see them together, and they threw that curveball. Part of me thinks, if you fall in love with the person, maybe, I don't know. But
I think it's kind of like you're rooting for Steve because he's so lost right now, and now he has that new special relationship. I think for the most part, we're all
next
cool
season,
with it.
I mean, right now it looks like they're gonna be working together at the video store, which is also cool.
Oh, true, I
another
forgot
cool
about
80s
that.
thing,
Yes.
But who knows? I mean, then who knows? Maybe he starts dating some idiot vapid valley girl, and maybe she starts to actually get jealous.
No, Mike, it doesn't work that way.
I'm not
If you love Rob, would you ever marry Rob? Like,
No. This
took a turn.
No.
Thank you, Nunez.
Because it doesn't work that
Thank
way.
you, Nunez.
Robin's gay. She wants a girlfriend. She doesn't want to date Steve. And I think it's better. I think that we are just so used to every time a boy and a girl character get close that they have to date each other, and it doesn't work that way. Like, I think male-female platonic relationships are really important, and I think it's really important to see that in shows so that, we're so influenced by the media we consume. So I think it's important to see that and go, I can have friends who are the opposite sex, and we don't have to date. That's cool. And even if we're both single, we don't have to date. It doesn't have to be that way. And I think that's a really important thing to have. And I love the swerve, and I love that, it's like, no, this is just our friendship. And Steve doesn't act like a big baby about it. He's like, we can't date, then I don't want to spend time with you. No, they're best friends. And that's
No,
cool.
that part I liked a lot. Just part of me has an inkling. I'm like, can it still happen?
It cannot happen.
I don't
Alright.
see it. You never know what season 4 is going to bring. I don't see it. I was
Robin
very happy.
doesn't say, hey, Steve, I'm bisexual. She says, I like girls. That's it. End.
I like that they started ragging on the girl
Yeah,
that
and
she
she's
had a
like-
crush on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
and he
goes,
was-
her? She's a dud.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That scene was really well done.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it was, we talk about the time. That had to be, if you're talking about the time period, really hard for that character.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, we talk about it all the time. I'm a huge fan of character development. I think from season 1 to now, Steve's growth has been ridiculous.
Tremendous.
So, their little friendship that they've sparked, and the idea that they're going to be working in the movie store, and the idea that she kind of got him the job that they're going to have. The resolution scene at the end, I thought was really rewarding because you saw this, friendship that was kind of, that you see that they're already closer than they were when they had their little moment.
Yeah, it's a really special friendship.
Usually the cool kids try to get their nerdy friend in. This time it was the nerdy friends trying to get the cool kid in.
Yeah. And was that real puke? Because that was kind of gross when they were puking and they had the overhead shot, and I was like,
Oh, yeah,
ew,
I looked away. I didn't even see
gross.
Yeah, you definitely saw some vomit in those toilet bowls. Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with Screen Junkies on YouTube?
Heard
Do
of
you guys
it.
know Honest Trailers?
I do know
Yeah,
Honest
no.
Trailer.
So I like the makeshift Honest trailer that Steve and Robin have about Back to the Future when they're high as a kite and they're near the water fountain, and she's like, "Isn't
I
that the
understand what
movie
you're
where the mom tries to bang her son and
Yes.
and Steve's like, well, how can she bang him when they're the same age?" And then they talk about she's like, yeah, but they went back to the past, and he's like, well, why do they call it Back to the Future then? So good.
Because calling him Alex P. Keating, that's all Michael J. Fox was known for.
Yes, Family Ties, such a good show.
Before, obviously, everyone knows him as. Everyone knows him as Alex P. Keating or Marty McFly, but back then he was just Alex P. Keating. So yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps it up for Scoops Troop. Obviously, we talked about Erica a little bit. Phenomenal standout. I think, Mike, you said she was
Free
a
ice cream
breakout.
for life.
Oh, yeah.
Free
no,
ice cream for life. That's
Erica,
right.
her bartering just to get ice cream is the most kid thing I've ever heard.
And her
she's
flashlight helmet. And,
yeah, she's like, okay,
cool.
I will risk my life for you, but hear me out.
And she
Child
Kim,
endangerment.
Operation Child Endangerment.
Can we
And
call
she-
it something
ice cream.
different, please?
and she was great in the last season with her very few scenes.
Yeah.
I believe talking to Lucas. I think she was in her bedroom or whatever, walking out. She had a few scenes, I believe, in the last season. So really, really good. She'll be part of the group, I think, big time come season 4. A key
She was
player.
very sassy, but everything she spoke was truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she would, say her little lines, you're like, yeah, but she's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when the youngest kid is the wisest kid.
Yeah, the voice of reason.
Yeah, that's another movie trope. But
Yeah, exactly.
It's so great. And then I love that they give her Will's old Dungeons and Dragons book.
That was a cool moment at the
Yeah.
end, yeah.
And he's like, "Here, nerd."
Let's keep it moving here. I think we touched on some of these characters already. What we'll call kind of the Griswold family group, I guess. We have, of course, Mike and Will and all those guys.
Nancy.
A lot going on with her and Jonathan in their jobs and stuff like that. Who was the guy from Starship Troopers?
Jake Busey.
Yeah, Jake
Busey. I saw
Busey
him
was
in the
very good in this.
I saw him in the credits for the first episode. I go, oh, Jake Busey's going to be
Yeah.
in this. And obviously you knew he was going to get killed or
Thank God.
picked
The
on.
newspaper, the whole boardroom people were.
Oh man, it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
I mean, it's real life, but man, were some of those scenes with Nancy, they were just so cringeworthy. It's so sad to watch.
Yeah. A lot of
it's
Nancy
the
stuff
scene
this
in
season.
The scene with her and Jonathan in the car after they got fired. As I think Kate, you were
That was
bringing
one of the
up before.
realest
You were
scenes in
saying
the
about
whole
fact that,
season.
like, she's like, you don't know what it's like to be a woman in the workplace, and he's like, you don't know what it's like to not have. He's like, well, you know what it's like to come from a poor family and have to that, and they're going back and forth, and I'm like, they're both got legit concerns.
Yeah.
But don't let it bring you. Of course, yeah, they got back together and everything like that, but. It's a thing. Sadly, it's a thing that still rings true today, even 30
unfortunately.
years after this show sets place. When you're, not coming from a good financial means or anything like that, when being a woman, one or the other, you got extra challenges to go to. I mean, even then, back if it was like a local newspaper or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
but
those guys were dicks, and I was just like, when I was watching those scenes, I was like, yeah, can't wait to watch them die.
I really hate
Good.
that they kept calling her Nancy Drew
Oh,
throughout the
so
whole thing.
disrespectful.
I'm like, come
condescendingly
on.
saying,
Oh
"Oh, you got a story,
God.
Nancy Drew?
Do you,
Oh,
Nancy?
great!
You
let's
forgot
hear
the
it."
mustard in my sandwich. I'm like,
And it's
oh
like-
my goodness.
Like Jake Busey, it's like
With that
shut
laugh.
the fuck up, Jake Busey. Everything that came out of his mouth was garbage.
Well, that's his
Fucking
job.
hate that guy.
He
Yeah.
made us hate him.
You had to know there was going to be an E next to this one.
She's
when
like,
you
"Can I leave
invited
early
me on."
today?" He's like, "Oh, why? I gotta go to the store." Nancy, you can't leave early today. We have work to do. I got female problems. All right, forget it. I don't want to hear that.
Bye.
Go,
Yeah,
go, go
can
away,
I
go
tell
away.
you, I've used that and it works every time.
I don't blame
Men
you.
are so afraid of the period. So afraid.
No, but him being just like, okay, I don't want to hear that. Go away. He could have just been like, oh, I understand, Nancy. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
You
but
can't just
Tom
be
was
polite about it.
Tom was
No.
a dick though. Tom sucked.
That's why I'm glad he's one of the people who the mind flayer infected, who is now dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the
His death in general was a little more gruesome than others, so I thought that was super rewarding.
Yeah,
because
it
the
was,
whole
it was just-
time.
it was for satisfaction.
Yeah.
That's why they made it so disgusting.
The whole time I'm thinking, I cannot wait till you die.
Yeah. Those guys sucked. And I've had sexist bosses. It's always older dudes, like the way they think they can talk to you. But being me, and it being this time and not the 1980s, I would scare the living shit out of them. I had this one boss who was just a sexist creep, but I would yell at him, and then he would panic, and he would just leave. And it was the funniest fucking
He would
thing
just
ever.
leave. He's
He-
the
he
boss,
would-
and he would leave.
Yes, he would just and then he'd walk out of the room. But
Why
I didn't get to watch him be
if
murdered.
that whole family is dead, the whole newspaper editor guy and his family, if they're all dead, why can't the buyers move into that house? Wow.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
After saving the town 3 fucking times, okay?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
How that works?
There-
All right, come on.
There might still be laws.
This is fiction. Can we at least talk about that? All right.
Real quick, what did you guys think about obviously the main villain, the mind flayer,
Yeah.
evolution of it from whatever it was last season, kind of possessing people and becoming that ooze that kind of recreates.
This was the
itself and heals
scariest
itself.
it's looked.
Did we like that whole storyline? Kind of the
I
people
dug it.
being possessed throughout the town.
Disgusting. I never needed to watch 100 rats explode. That's
That was
never
crazy.
This is
That
true.
was
Yeah,
crazy.
that scene
I
is
thought that
crazy.
was fascinating, though.
No, it was really scary and gory and very horror movie.
And when they
Poor
were all
Mrs. Driscoll.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they were all at the carnival, when people just kind of all started walking away, like the kids with his friend, he starts walking
Yeah.
away. I thought that was a rad scene, you know.
Yeah, and then
like-
they all go to the mind flare, and then
Honey,
they
where
just
you
all
going?
explode, and then kind of like
They
morph
lined up.
into it. It's
They
like,
went all
ooh,
T-1000,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
It was,
Yeah.
it was the size of a car, not the size of like a friggin' building.
Yeah.
really cool scene. Talking about the carnival, let's talk about Alexi. Cherry Slurpee. I should have got some cherry Slurpees. Didn't even
Not
think
strawberry.
Of it. Not strawberry.
Strawberry.
Just-
I might be in the minority. I like strawberry.
Yeah, okay.
I do like cherry, but I do like strawberry. I don't know. That was a political answer.
Keeping it
but
real. No,
A couple
that's
Big
what we
Macs,
do
right?
here.
There you go.
No, they got
Nice.
Big Mac? It was Big Macs, yeah.
What'd you
Yeah.
guys think about Alexi? Kind
No,
of
Whoppers, my mistake.
who you thought of as maybe possible
Ah!
Whoppers with Hopper.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
Yes, you
Love
did.
it. What did you guys think about Alexi in this one? Kind of a soft spot for sure. Smirnoff, as Hopper called him. Mike, what do you got?
It was cool with Alexi. Like, yeah, you just thought he was like kind of like the insubordinate little like Russian captive. Like, screw you. Like, I'm not telling you anything. And then he's like, okay, you're in America now. Guess what? You get to have slushy iced drinks, and you get to have fatty burgers and all this other stuff. And even when Murray was telling him, this is America. You get to have stupid fun and eat crappy food and everything like that. And he's kind of saying
Corn dog.
And it's also like saying it reminded me a little bit of like Hans Landa and Glorious Bastards. Kind of like the fact that if I help you, I want full American citizenship and I want to be pardoned. And I get to do all that stuff. But of course, he was a lot more nicer than Hans Landa. But just the fact that if I help you and I help everything like that, I don't want to be, because I'm not a fan of. I've seen what the Russians do. I'm not a fan of it. I want to be a scientist. I don't want to be like a terrorist. And so that's why Murray's trying to convince him, come to America. You know, you'll get your citizenship. You can stay with us. And first things first, go have some fun. And of course, then Murray blames himself because he took the ball off him for 5 minutes. And you know,
Murray, another great character.
Terminator Drago shows up, and yeah.
It's
Terminator Drago. Love
Even
it.
though that movie, even though season 3 takes place before Rocky 4, but anyway, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tim.
It's still got the Russia motif though, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's really hard. It's really hard in 2-3 episodes to get you to care about a character and have their death actually like affect you in a certain way. But I think that it was. I think they did a great job of making you feel for Alexei because they really showed Russia as being what we perceive Russia as no nonsense business. This is it. And this guy, he's, only works science forever. And then like he gets a little bit of freedoms and he's enjoying something as simple as cherry Slurpees or something as simple as Coke or something as simple as
Carnival
Looney
game.
Tunes,
Yeah,
Looney
Looney
know.
Tunes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's stuff
Damn.
that he doesn't get. So you see that it's bringing him a little bit of joy, and then he gets to go out to this carnival, which Murray describes as this is America. Like we're celebrating the 4th of July. This is what we do. We enjoy the awful foods and stuff.
I forgot 4th of July when talking about America and like, yeah.
Yeah. So and then it's Alexei going out and enjoying all these carnival games, and he's genuinely having a good time. And then pop, done. So it's really tough. I give all the writers and the Duffer Brothers credit for being able to have you feel a certain way about a character in 2-3 episodes.
Quick interjection. I love the little kid next to him saying, "You can do it, Mister." When he's trying to get the
Really well said. Really well said, Tim.
I was telling you guys before, I didn't get on the Alexei train till after I watched the season and I saw all the memes and like all the outpouring for him. And then I rewatched the second half with some friends, and I was like, okay, because he was because in my head he was still part of, like the
bad
evil,
guys.
part of the bad guys. But when you have all this freedom, and literally all your demands is, I want to watch Looney Tunes, I want a Slurpee, and I want a Whopper, I'm on board.
Also, the scene where Hopper was kind of playing chicken with him.
Yeah.
When they thought he might escape with the car.
I thought he was gonna leave.
I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here going
Yeah.
like everything that Hopper's saying makes total sense, but I think he's gonna go, and then you just see him kind of stopped at the gate or whatever. And
He's
what a
like, he
powerful
needs us.
What a powerful scene, and again,
Yeah.
it makes you. It makes Alexei a little bit more endearing to us. A guy who we couldn't really understand. We learned very little bit about him at the very beginning of the first episode, where he said, "You have 1 year, or I'm gonna come back and kill you," like he did to the first guy. That was so very interesting. So, like Nunez, what you said, you did kind of think of him as working for the bad guys, but he was kind of threatened, I guess. We kind of saw how it worked. We don't know what his motives are. We didn't know a lot about him, but definitely a very endearing character.
It was kind of like Billy. Like it was once they died, you were like, oh man, I wanted to see what happened afterwards. But
Yeah, crazy. Bet anything about Alexei?
Alexei's best moment is when he's in the back of that yellow Cadillac and they're talking to the guy who they're taking the car from, and they're like, yeah, he's a wanted felon. He's very dangerous. And he's just like sitting there with his little Slurpee.
Yeah, I
A little
forgot about
smile
that.
on his face.
Yeah, and I think that just
The Todd father.
captures the essence of Alexei right there.
Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Murray. Just real short and sweet. Just such an interesting, crazy.
Him as an actor
key
is
player.
fantastic.
Yeah. And again, we listened to that phone message. Guys, check it out. Again, call the number. I got it here. Where is it? 618
Shameless plug.
625-8313 for a little Stranger Thing season 4 lead-in, maybe a little Easter egg. So that's really cool that they do stuff
Perhaps
like
the
that.
most laugh out loud moment, even though it was when what's her name, Erica calls him, "Listen, you bald bastard." I'm just like,
No
what?
respect. Yeah.
Like no respect. It's just like just seeing it with the dynamic. Him just saying like, at the secret mission, he's like, I hate kids, little shits. Like, you know, just
Yeah, Bald Eagle.
Eagle.
Him and Dustin's dynamic was great on the walkie-talkies. Guys, we've been kind of dancing around it the whole podcast. Got to talk about Hopper a little bit. And Joyce as well, who was fantastic, beyond
Winona
fantastic.
Ryder's so good in this.
She, phenomenal actress in everything.
Yeah, I'm
She's
so
really
glad
good.
they
Little
chose
Women.
her.
Oh, so good. But anyway, we've been dancing around this. We know Hopper's fate. Oh, well, we know what happened on
Or
screen.
do we?
Yeah, exactly.
Question
a lot
mark.
of theories coming out of that. Real quick, Joyce, fantastic, on point, doing all the research with the magnets and all that, bringing the teacher into the fold.
yes, Mr. Clark.
I thought she was going to get with the teacher at one point.
Did you?
Because she went to his house and then they're like discussing it, and like he's a big nerd and he's going over the whole magnetic theory, and then I thought something was going to happen.
So maybe some chemistry
See,
at the
You
science
can't replace
teachers.
Bob that quick.
Yeah.
I never
and that was
once
part of the
thought that
storyline.
because that teacher is such a dork.
He is,
The
but
fact that
she
they
was
played
vulnerable.
Weird Al when they revealed him.
Oh,
in
it was
this
My
awesome.
Bologna, though. My Bologna's so good.
Again,
Oh, I can't-
soundtrack.
And because he was painting the tiny figurines with the big magnifying
Oh,
glass.
it's great.
Oh my god.
No, I didn't
That
think they were going to
guy.
get together, but
I thought something was going to happen. I didn't think it was
Okay.
going to be like a season-long thing, but I
got
thought
you.
something was going to happen because she was vulnerable, and I think at that point they were showing the montages of her in front of the TV watching TV shows, and then her and Bob watching
Yes,
TV
I-
shows.
You read my mind.
I believe so. I don't know if that was before or after
Yeah,
that.
it was Cheers.
I love how-
Cheers. Yeah, there you go.
I
Yeah.
love how they kept Bob involved. It wasn't like, all right, he's done, he's out. They had the flashback that you were talking about, so it kind of just
Yeah.
kind of showed where she was at emotionally.
Yeah, very vulnerable.
Her and Will have been through a lot.
Yeah.
But even when his picture fell off the fridge with the magnets in the very
Yeah.
first or second episode, that was interesting. So I like, they may have shot one or two scenes with Sean Astin for that flashback or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then they show him getting attacked by the demi-dogs. We had to
Oof.
relive that a few times through her perspective. Man, that got real.
Did that seem like it was more than it was in the second episode? I felt
Yeah.
like when I was watching it that it was just more gruesome than I
hit you.
remember it being.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
a little extra because, like Rob said, it was from more her perspective than the audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you see him
They're
like
trying to drive the
smile
point
at
home.
her.
Yeah.
Like he's like almost at the door and
Yeah.
he's like I'm gonna make it or smiled or happy to see her or whatever it is, and then just the
Let's
demi-dog,
just
your
put this
heart
out there for
sinks.
now. If there's ever an apocalypse situation and we narrowly escape, don't pause to gloat. Run, because that's how you become the guy. Who
Well-
Well,
dies.
I'll tell you what. If remember, I said.
I was just gonna say, I know where you're
said
going.
this last time. Whoever volunteers to go turn off the power,
Bye-bye.
hug them like you're never going to see them
Bye-bye.
again because you're not going to see them again.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
That's right.
I loved the flashbacks of Joyce and Bob.
I did too.
And I thought it was like super interesting. The cheers that was like what they were talking about. It was like a will they won't they, won't they, and it was like, is that foreshadowing a her and Hopper because it's the exact same
Ding, ding, ding,
episode?
ding.
Good point.
Yeah.
Call.
Good point.
Very good call.
By the way, sent this to Tim yesterday. Kate and I are at Target. Cheers action figures.
Oh, they were.
What?
hideous.
That's not real. Really?
exactly. There was,
Who-
we took a picture. I,
It was
got it.
Which? Oh, okay, okay.
What about Norm? Give me some Norm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll
who they
take
were.
Norm.
I just saw Cheers action figures. I don't know who was there.
The bar is included.
Yeah, the bar
each figure
play
comes with a
set
piece
has
of the
to be
bar.
included. Yeah,
Play set sold separately.
Like
nice.
the Power Rangers.
Malone's bar. Played sold separately.
Oh man, I'm feeling it. So let's talk about Hopper. Obviously, great story arc with 11 and Mike. Obviously, the back and forth, will they, won't they, with Joyce, which I think was done perfectly. At the end, we don't see his body or aftermath
Nope.
or remains or anything like that. He's just gone.
And then end credit scene, they say not the American.
Ding, ding, ding.
And a
ding,
friend
ding.
of mine pointed that out because I thought that was just a throwaway line, but I'm like,
I hung on it because we just watched the last episode and we're like, is there going to be more? Because I like the way it ended
didn't
with
see-
him reading the letter, and I think they should have just ended it there. Like they ended it with Joyce kind of closing the door.
they
which
could have
was
ended
cool.
the whole series that way, but because they
Yeah.
have the ending credit scene with the Demigorgon, you're like, oh, then now they have to do a fourth
And
season.
I'm glad there was more.
Yeah,
It was good.
definitely, yeah.
You're just like, oh, is this the end? Is the end? There's going to be more, and then you get a little bit more. So I was hanging on every word.
The
So when they
Hawkins
said,
gang
nope.
goes to Moscow, season 4.
So
I'm
when
all right
they-
with that.
The search for more
The
demigorgons.
search for more demi.
But when he said, no, that's the American, I think, everyone's like, well, Hopper's an American. So,
There are more than one.
there are.
My rule of thumb for anything with a major character, if I don't see a body, they're not dead. So
That's a good point.
Like,
So if I disappear,
yeah. So I feel like I feel very confident that Hopper's not dead. I don't know that he's the American in that prison. That might be a huge misdirect. He could have jumped through the portal before it blew up, and he might be stuck in the Upside Down. But no matter
if anybody can handle themselves in the Upside Down by himself,
it's going to be Hopper. But I think no matter where he is, season 4 is going to be a rescue Hopper mission.
The search for more Hopper.
I would say, did Hopper have like a little moment where he was like in the Upside Down again, or like a little flash in like the actual season? I vaguely remember
Someone
that.
did. Maybe it was Hopper.
I think so. Anyway, Will definitely had his
They had
moments.
the one where he the closest I think was the Upside Down is when it was like in the end of season 1, he laid out the Eggos for L, and it was like snowing. You know, you got a little bit of that snow kind of because the Upside Down kind of looks like it's got a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where someone had a
They
flash.
did that in the credits, by the way.
Someone had a flash because I remember going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then it might not have been addressed again, so maybe it was Hopper. I don't know.
It's possible. The only thing I'm hanging my hat on here is we saw in the opening scene what happens when they blow up that machine. And it disintegrated. Like Netflix, blew their budget on showing us that guy was like blown to pieces. So in my head, that exact situation happened. Hopper was right next to the thing. He's blown to pieces. That's what I'm thinking.
But it's not on camera.
But it's not on camera.
I didn't watch him die.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, so I think he's gone.
He could have because don't forget he knows more. I mean, he's got more experience than any of those other idiot Russian scientists. This is his 3rd time around, so he was down in the pit with L when they closed it up last time and fought off demo dogs. But I mean, the Upside Down is technically like what? It's supposed to be our world in its full scale, just an Evil Dimension version. So I mean, he could have went all the way from Hawkins, Indiana, all the way across to Russia, and maybe went up to their portal. Just 3 months later, he could be in that holding cell. Who knows? I mean, you want to see Hopper even scruffier? Imagine him being a prisoner in a Russian prison.
There it is.
Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think he's dead. I'm gonna make my prediction. I
No,
don't
me
think
neither.
He's dead. And if he is dead, great. It's sort of like I'm doing a wrestling reference here. The Undertaker, when he got beat by Roman Reigns a couple years ago.
Well, he's already dead.
If that was, I don't know. Kate's like I'm gonna take a break here.
Tell me when to tune back in.
All right, this is the guy. All right, well, Undertaker, he had that match with Roman Reigns. He lost in the main event. He laid his gloves and his hat and his coat in the ring, and everyone's like, "This is Undertaker's last match. His retirement match. It's a great way to go out."
1 year later.
But then,
Nice.
what if he doesn't come back? It's like, it's great to leave that door open, and we'd love to see him back, and of course, we all would love to see Hopper back. But if David Harbour, the actor who plays Hopper, this is his last time on the show, that, and of course the montage and the letter and everything, like, what a beautiful way
He's
to go
been posting
out.
stuff on his Instagram. There's something.
Oh, I think he's just throwing shade. I mean, he's probably
Yeah.
Oh, which is great, but
Which
we
is
love
also-
it.
Which
we
is
love it.
awesome.
He's probably obviously under contract to not say anything, saying, "Oh yeah, I've already read the script for season 4." I mean, of course, not going to say that, but it's just. It's
I think
great to
there's
have
something in
theories.
motion.
And of course, the theory is who's the American. Some people think it could be I forget the Dr. Matthew Modine's character from season 1.
Ooh.
You never saw him die, and he's technically Elle's. Isn't he technically Elle's father?
She broke his neck, didn't he? Didn't she?
Or did he? Or did she? You don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But as far as evil Americans, I mean, I don't think he's in the cell, but Paul Reiser's character shows up at the end and sees the portal. Did anybody else think that he had a disappointed look on his face when he saw the portal closed?
I did kind of notice something like
Yeah.
And if you ever seen Aliens, one of my all-time favorites, he's the weaselly corporate
Oh,
dude. who's trying
man,
to
I'm
screw
so glad
everybody over.
I'm so glad the xenomorph killed him.
that. Lots of
So
stuff.
part of me thinks, like, and also in season 2, they found him wounded. I'm like, oh, I got attacked by demo dogs. I'm like, really? You survived demo dog attack?
Good for you.
You survived. Like, let's face it, you're full of shit. You could have just had somebody else's blood and spirit on your body.
Yeah.
It's a setup and say, oh, I'm a victim here. Because he was such a weasel in Aliens, and part of me thinks he could still be a weasel now.
Yeah, that's a great point. The look on his face. It was such like a short scene from him.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, I was wondering when he was going to check in. Okay, now it's over. Like that's a great point.
That
Mike,
look that he
his
had, would you
expression.
say that he was mad about you?
Wow, got him.
Well, I was gonna say about Harper that
Okay,
don't
nice. Very nice. Very nice.
I was gonna say about Hopper. This season definitely establishes him as a badass. Between him taking charge with Mike and 11 and kind of like ruffling him up to the point where Mike was like, I don't think I can hang out with you today, and like making up lies to not hang out with her because he essentially scared the shit out of her, or scared the shit out of Mike, or even though he was getting his ass kicked by the the Terminator / Drago character, he held his own. He took charge, and he was kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, took a few beatings.
The scene where
And he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt the whole time.
And
so
the
even
one-handed
better.
machine gun taking all the Russians out. In the
Oh, it was
elevator.
great. It was great.
The Fat
so.
Rambo, as he was nicknamed.
Rambo.
Thinking about it logistically, and I take a lot from what each of you guys said. Tim thinks it might be the end. Mike said maybe, you'd be okay with that. But I like what Mike was saying about Paul Reiser. Obviously we hang on that every word at the end. Not that one. That's where the American is, or not the American, whatever it was. That could be a huge misdirect. It could be the Paul Reiser character. It could be if he didn't die, maybe one of the characters
I
from
don't
the
know
first
if he's,
season.
I don't know if Paul Reiser's character is actually in the Russian prison. I just think that
I'm just saying it might be a misdirect.
Seeing the portal closed,
Someone we know that's not Hopper.
I didn't trust him completely at the end of season 2, being like, oh, they found him. It's like, oh yeah, the demo dogs, but they let me go, and I'm like, oh bullshit.
Could it be,
That was weird. That was super weird
now
how
he
he
shows up.
survived. Yeah.
And now he shows up, and now he sees the portals closed again. It looked like a little bit of disappointment on his face.
You might be onto something.
Maybe he's infected by something.
Could be.
Maybe he's.
possible.
The bottom line is, I think he's now a bad guy. Whether
Yeah.
he's just an evil corporate, non-infected human like Klein, or like Mayor Klein was, douchebag, or he could have just been like,
Yeah, he's always a bad guy.
Klein is swine. Yes.
Wow. In my mind, Hopper wasn't there. Like we noticed, we're like, oh, is Hopper dead? Has something happened? When that scene plays out, my thought is he's in the Upside Down. That's instantly where he goes.
That could be true.
Now, in Russia or wherever it was at the end, I think it was Russia.
Yeah, I believe
Russia,
so.
They obviously have another door or entrance or portal, whatever you want to call it, because they're getting these demi-dogs or demigorgons. So maybe if Hopper was there logistically, he came through whatever door out of the Upside Down that the demigorgon had come through. They had found him, this or that. Or it's a huge misdirect. I like all the stuff that Mike's saying and kind of thinking outside of the box. I still think Hopper is either in that cell or in the
I still think
Upside
he's
Down.
alive at some point.
I think that's going to be a big point going into the next season. Tim's shaking his head, so you might be onto something. You think he's going out in that fashion, but he's a key player. You never know. I think he's going to be a big part of season 4. I think another big part of season 4 is going to be 11 getting her powers back, recharging and stuff like that.
That could lead to her reuniting with her siblings, because remember quote unquote
Warriors.
siblings, because her sister has the same powers, if I'm not
8?
mistaken.
No, she could make illusions. Remember, she made
Yeah.
butterflies.
Oh yeah.
Remember.
So they could because remember in season 2, a lot of people didn't like that side story with 11 going off.
I thought it was
I liked it,
departure,
but
I liked it.
they might do that with season 4 for 11 to
Tie it all
I guess
together?
like tie together, and also to kind of not regenerate her powers, but kind of like reestablish herself.
Where did that episode take place at? I forget. Where she went to go find her sister. Was it Chicago?
I just remember the Bon Jovi.
Possibly, yeah.
I know the Bon
She's a
Jovi, yeah.
little runaway.
Yeah, Hawkins is Indiana, and they went. I guess it was Chicago. So I'm wondering, where did her and the Byers family move to at the end of this season?
Do they say?
Good call.
Cause maybe she decides maybe she decides I'm going to take a little road trip, like take out of town to go to Chicago or something.
Maybe
She's going
maybe they
through a
make a
lot.
pit stop along the way.
I do feel like they have to bring back that storyline because
Yeah.
otherwise it's just really random.
Yeah,
I agree.
when you watch season 2, you're like, what is this?
To find that there's other kids who have been infected or just have powers whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the other girl was, what was the other girl? 8?
It
Yeah,
was
her
8,
name-
I
yeah,
believe.
yeah, she was 8. Yeah,
So that means there's a whole lot more,
yeah,
assuming they're alive.
yeah.
But is she going to choose her superpower and mutant friends, or is she going to choose her Hawkins guys?
Um, It's interesting.
Will
because,
she go Dark Phoenix?
No,
Oh, there you go.
I don't think so.
It's interesting because, Tim was saying earlier he hated how it took so long for everyone to get together, but he understands it. It was cool when they all got together because
Season 2 kind of did that though.
Yeah, but this season, I mean, there's no way. I mean, what? They moved away. You got some people in Hawkins. You got other people in Russia. So this is going to be a tough one. I think the Murray phone message that we just heard, again, guys, call the number. It's very interesting. It's a nice little lead into the next season.
Sponsored by the number?
I thought it was fun. I don't know. I think it's cool. It's better than nothing. You get something going into it. So I think that's going to be a big story arc. I think, the something that I don't want to give too much away. Just listen to the message. Murray's is really cool. I think that's going to be a big part of the story. The search for Hopper, as we said, the team getting together. And don't forget, fan theory I sent to Tim. They're talking about kind of like the holidays revolving around the seasons. First season, Christmas. Second season, Halloween. This season, 4th of July. Yeah, people are saying Easter, Thanksgiving. I forget
Yeah,
what the theory was,
they
though.
did mention the Thanksgiving. It was something about Chernobyl. the theory.
Yes, like being historically accurate or something like that.
Yeah, it's like some kind of big event, but we
Good
think
job.
it's this thing, but it's actually what happened in Hawkins or
Yeah.
something like that.
But yeah. So I think that's interesting. So I think there's a lot of doors and subplots opening already going into season 4, and you know what? They'll probably throw us for a big loop on a lot of it. Some new characters, but I'm super excited. Real quick before we get out of here, guys. You know, I always say this. I always get scared when they release a new season of this show. If they had just done one season of this show, it still would have been as awesome and great, and we would have loved it just as much. But it's fun seeing these characters grow up. It's fun always getting more. Are you guys stoked for season 4? And how did you think season 3 was in comparison to the other 2 seasons?
Look, season 3 it definitely went a little darker. I mean, season 2 ended with the Austin the Winter Dance and Dustin's hair, and they got I'll be Every Breath You Take. They all dance. It's just great ending. This one, David Bowie's Heroes in the background. It's just all very solemn and everything like that. And of course, it's like, is Hopper still out there? 11 reading the letter and crying and missing and everything like that. Even when Will crying and knowing missing, the friends are apart for now. It's the gang's broken up temporarily, just temporarily. But yeah, I mean, season 3 was a great new turn for them. They're getting older. I think if their show's going to end after, I don't know if season 4. I think maybe season 5 would be a good way. Maybe when they graduate high school.
I think Netflix actually came out and said season 4 is it.
Yeah, I think it's only 4 seasons.
How we feel about that?
I think 4 is a weird number, though. I kind of think 5. If they have enough storylines, enough demand, I'm sure they'll do something. Probably season 4 would end with like a really, really big downer or some really big open-ended thing to end up with season 5. But
5 seasons in a movie.
Yes. Hey, some community news coming out tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah, buddy.
But one thing I did like is like we talked about, the thing with Hopper and Joyce. Will they or won't they? And finally at the end, she's like, look. And first of all, Winona Ryder was cute as hell in that little Russian outfit. I'm just gonna put that out. She was cute. But she's basically saying, okay, tell you what, we make it out of this. Why don't we go do that date that you wanted to go to? We'll go there. We'll have some dinner. We'll have a good time. And he's like, I'm letting you know this is officially a date. I'm just glad they didn't do the kiss. Like, they kind of left that, like...
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did they have, like,
Well,
a little kiss or anything?
They didn't
No,
kiss.
they
They
No,
didn't
but
have the kiss.
Hopper's
theirs-
coming back.
Okay.
But their
Hopper's
first
coming
mistake
back.
was making plans for the future. You don't do that when you're in a death-type situation. You don't plan for the future because then you're dead.
It's my last day on the force,
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
retiring
But
tomorrow.
you have to, though. It's something to fight for. Like, you see it in all horror films. It's always
Yeah,
a
but the
plan
people-
for the
Truth.
future.
Is the character
because-
who dies.
But
it's
if
because
Hopper
it's
comes-
always.
But if
looking
Hopper's alive,
for-
it may take all of season 4 to get back to them. And then him and Joyce may not have the kiss, if there's a kiss, until season 5. That we've been waiting
I
for.
think there's only 4.
all I know
Well, I'm
is
just saying if they do a season 5.
do not, under any circumstance, date Joyce. Because she is having some very bad luck with
Poor
men.
Joyce. Honestly, I thought Joyce was dead. I thought she was going to die when she was talking to Will. And
Yeah, we
she's
were
like,
saying that.
She's like, I'm going to be fine, baby. I was like, oh no, Joyce, don't say that.
And then she said it 2 more times after
she said
that.
it too many times.
We're,
I was like, shut
we're
up,
like,
Joyce.
Joyce is done. Joyce is
Yeah.
done. Huge misdirect. And I think they were doing that on purpose. I forgot about that. Good
Yeah.
job, Bae.
Oh,
Yeah, but the scene where she's hugging Will and it looks over and she sees 11. 11 looks at her and they make eye contact and her just like barely can't.
Yeah,
can't
that's-
even
that's
shake
a-
her-
that was a
doesn't
tough
even
one.
Shake her head.
That was a
can't
tough
even say
one.
anything. Just kind of closes her eyes and tears up and 11 knows.
there's 2 main things with this upcoming season. The reason why the first season is my favorite is because they're kids, and part of the big magic with this show is when they're kids and everything's new and they're learning everything. Now they're getting a little bit older. It might take the magic a little away, especially Will. The actor that plays Will, he got really tall. His voice is getting deeper. Also, too, Finn Wolfhard and Millie Bobby Brown, they're in high demand now. It's going to be hard. That's why I think that part of the reason why they weren't in this season a lot is because, Millie Bobby Brown was filming, Godzilla, and Finn Wolfhard was filming It. It's going to be hard to keep them around.
Ghostbusters.
That too, yeah. So it's going to be hard to keep them around for a full season. So they might not be able to even keep them around or afford them.
They'll work with their schedule. This show is
Yeah.
the most popular show on Netflix now.
Easily.
That's why I
Easily.
think they might end it at
They'll
4.
work with it. I mean, we may not get a season 4 until spring of 2021.
Yeah.
We may not get it till then, but it's coming back. I mean, Game of Thrones, with that massive cast, it took forever, and they did all that stuff. But trust me, they will work with the cast. If the cast's like, oh, I'm filming a movie in the fall, I'm like, okay, then fine, we'll film your scenes after you're done doing that shoot. No problem. They'll
Like-
work with them. They want them all back. The fans want them all back. They'll make it work.
Like I said, I just hope the magic is still there because, like I said, that first season is great because they're kids. And that's, when you watch movies like The Goonies or The Sandlot, like I mentioned before, that's part of the aura of the movie.
Yeah, really well said. And there's nothing about this season. I would say all the seasons are like a 9.5 or a 10 easily. This one may have been like a 0.0001 step down because, like we said, we've seen it before. This show was so new and fresh. But I hate to even say that because this season was so good, and I'm glad it happened. When I saw the trailer, I'm like, this is going to be all action. I'm looking at the trailer. Yet, watching the season, there was so much heart. That's mostly what we've been talking about today. Just keep it going. They're doing it right.
The story.
Can't complain. I loved it.
My only complaint is that the story is really still the same story. So you're doing it over and over again.
If it ain't
so
broke.
How can you go more seasons than like one? Like resolve what you have. 4, while it is a weird number to end something, it probably is the right call to end it there.
Unless it gets canceled, but they're not going to.
They're not going to cancel it.
Canceled.
No, everyone's still talking about it now. So I mean, like, if they can resolve every story, however they want to do it, however they want to do it, and it's satisfactory for fans, I think it's a good place to stop it. What they did was, we knew that there was always Russian talk. The Russians were in Hawkins. We knew that since season 1.
Yeah, isn't Elle from a kidnapped Russian baby or something?
I don't
know.
think so. No, because her mom, her actual mom is. She visited her last season, 2 seasons ago.
Yes. Right,
Yeah.
It was last season.
Yeah. So I mean, what they did with that opening scene was actually make it a global event. Like we heard the rumors that it was Russian, but we didn't know 100% that it was Russian. So the opening scene where it's that guy and what you picture Russia as, this
Well, it
cold
was also
land,
before
makes it a global event.
Reagan and Gorbachev made peace and everything like that. So it's still like that mid '80s kind of deal.
Cold War type
Cold
deal.
War.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, we're at a point where I trust what the Duffer Brothers and all the writers
Agreed.
what they want to do. So I'm gonna watch. I'm invested. So whatever they do, go do it. Make sure it's done the right way.
I think the average was 4 days to watch the whole season.
Is that the average?
Yeah, I think that was average coming in. So
Watching it one day.
yeah,
one
we
day.
tried so
That's
hard.
insane. Chris.
Yep.
13 days.
Obsessed.
I will. Yeah, no, I will say though.
say we
new
just
season
about
of
a
She-Ra's
week.
coming out. I'm gonna sit down.
I'm killing the curve.
every episode.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
literally what I did the
Yeah, no, I get it.
day after it came out.
All
yeah.
right. I think it's easy to say that we all really enjoyed it. They didn't do anything too off the path that we had problems with. I think it was just smooth sailing. Great show. Glad to get together with you guys, talk about it today. So thank you guys, as always, for coming on. You guys are the absolute best.
You
Go
guys,
ahead, Tim.
you guys want to sing "Never Ending Story"?
I don't know.
Close
Do
your
I have to? Well, I was
eyes.
gonna say, do I have to pay for
That's
it?
a hard no.
Yeah, to cover.
There you go. Newfound Glory version for sure. Guys, thank you so much for a few minutes. Bay, you got some new music coming out. You want to talk about that real quick before we get out of here?
My new music.
Your new music.
My new music. Look for
Woo!
it in November. My solo album. Follow me on social media. I am Kate Ortiz.
Yes, you are.
All over the place.
All right. And Mike, always follow Mike. He's writing some good stuff on popbreak.com. Just had the Extreme Rules review.
I'll be doing the new season of Veronica Mars on. It comes out on Hulu.
Oh,
Not to give
nice.
a plug to another
Good
show.
stuff.
We're talking about one
Kristen
show.
Bell.
But yeah, Kristen Bell's my girl. I love her in anything. So yeah.
Let it go.
And then still doing the fatherhood thing. So I'll be doing thing there. And
Yeah,
hopefully
man.
I'll be at
Living the dream.
I'll let you talk about what you're going to plug at the end.
Well, what do you mean, our 100th episode? Is that what you're getting
yeah,
at?
the 100th episode. Yes.
Well, I know Tim,
Oh,
you're...
hashtag BCP100.
yeah, that's the one.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the one.
talk about it.
I know Kriss Nunez and Tim are going to be there. Matt's going to be there. Hopefully, Mike, we hope to see you there.
I'd like to stop
I heard
by,
Kate's
yes.
going to be playing some music. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I
All
heard
for
that.
charity. We're going to have a live stream, of course, at the Podcast Dummies Network. We've been on there a few times thanks to our good friend, Mr. Trevor, making it happen. We'll be live at Musicians Workshop in Manalapan, I believe.
Ooh, okay.
But tune into the live stream. The only people we're going to have there are obviously the hosts and the performers. So you can watch online on Twitch, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Instagram, all that good stuff.
And
And
then
what's the charity?
So it is going to be. I need to confirm on this, but I'm trying to work with Connor's Cure again. I had done that in the past. It went very smooth. Obviously, those familiar with wrestling and the WWE Superstars is one of my favorite things about WWE. For pediatric cancer, hospital in Pittsburgh. And, so I think that's all for a good cause. And we'll have a lot of fun. I think. It's
Will
a good
you
thing.
be taking that live stream and making it into an episode that we can listen to over and over again?
Absolutely. Oh,
Awesome.
of course. Yeah, covering you on all platforms. What a great question, Tim. But, guys, I hope you can tune in. More details to be unveiled about BCP 100. I'm super excited for it. It's all going to be for a great cause. It's going to be a great day, and we're going to have a ton of fun. Guys, thanks so much for a few minutes. We'll see you next time. We are out. Peace.
Adios.
Adios, man.
Never ending story.